Tucson is getting way too expensive. Prices are skyrocketing. Tucson isn't affordable anymore. Now look, I understand why people feel that way, but let's slow down, zoom out, and examine the facts. Because the truth is, Tucson isn't alone. If you've seen videos on YouTube titled things like why people are leaving Tucson or 7 reasons everyone is leaving Tucson, Arizona, take a deep breath. Seriously, don't pack up the mental moving truck just yet. Those titles are built for one thing: clicks. They thrive on fear, drama, and thumbnails that make it look like Tucson is either on fire or running out of water. But here's the deal. We're not doing clickbait here. We're doing truth bait. And the truth is a lot more encouraging than those videos would have you believe. Now, before you click off, I want to let you know this video is fully chaptered. If there's a certain section you're most interested in, maybe the housing market, maybe the job outlook, feel free to skip around and jump to what matters most to you. And if at any point during or after this video you have questions, here's what to do. Text the word house to the number in the description. It's the first number you'll see right there. I've helped over 100 families buy and sell here in Tucson and the surrounding areas, and I'd be honored to help you with your next step. All right, let's bust the myth that everyone's fleeing from Tucson. Let's get into it. Nationwide perspective across the country, prices are still high, but they've slowed way down. According to the Associated Press, the median U.S. home price in July was about $422,000. That's only 0.2% higher than the same time last year. In other words, not skyrocketing. That's from an AP article published August 22nd, just this year. And if you look at Zillow's National Home Value Index, it shows the US average is about $368,000, which is basically flat, up from 0.3% over the past year. Now, compare that to Tucson. According to Redfin, the median sale price in Tucson right now is about $325,000. And according to Zillow, the average home value is sitting around $330,000. Not up, down. Tucson values have dropped about 2.7% year over year. Both of those are from August 2025 market data on Redfin and Zillow. Meanwhile, Phoenix. Redfin reports their median home price is sitting around $455,000, and it's actually up about 3.4% from last year. So if you're looking across the state, Tucson is still about $100,000 cheaper than Phoenix metro area. That's also from Redfin's housing data, current as of late August this year. The statewide Arizona average, by the way, is just over $426,000. That's according to Zillow's statewide pricing index. Nationwide, still more expensive. The national median sale price, again, is about $422,000 according to the AP and the National Association of Realtors. So the bottom line, Tucson's not the outlier. It's actually one of the more affordable metros in the country, especially for a city with sunshine, jobs, and mountains all around. Let's break this into monthly payments just to make it real. Using today's average mortgage rate, about 6.6%, here's what a 30-year fixed loan looks like with a 20% down payment. A $325,000 home in Tucson would equal about a $1,650 a month payment. A $370,000 home here in Tucson would equal around an $1,880 a month payment. A $450,000 home in Phoenix would equal a $2,300 a month payment. A $422,000 home nationally would put the monthly payment right at about $2,130 a month. These estimates use basic mortgage calculators from Bankrate and NerdWallet based on rates reported by Freddie Mac in August of 2025. So, Tucson homes, still giving you a lot more value per dollar. So what's actually going on? Prices aren't exploding. They rose sharply during the COVID years, sure, from about $255,000 in 2020 up to $370,000 by year 2024. But now they're leveling off or declining slightly. That's data from HomeLight's long-term pricing reports on Tucson. And again, Tucson's not an island. It's part of a national trend. High interest rates, construction slowdowns, and tight supply are affecting every market in America. Now, what about rent? You might be wondering, okay, but if I can't buy, is renting any better? Let's look at the numbers. According to Zillow's rental index, the typical rent in Tucson is about $1,660 per month. That's nearly identical to the monthly mortgage payment on a $325,000 home with a 20% down payment. In Phoenix, average rent is about $2,140 a month. Nationally, the typical US rent sits around $2,150 a month. Again, all from Zillow's August 2025 rental market report. So here's what that means. Renters in Tucson are already paying what homeowners are paying, but without building equity. And if you're renting in a bigger metro, you're likely paying more. So let's bust this myth. Tucson is not becoming uniquely unaffordable. Home prices here are lower than the state and national averages. Monthly payments are still competitive, especially compared to Phoenix or the rest of the country. And rent? It's not saving you much, especially long term. If you've heard people saying Tucson's just not affordable anymore, now you've got the truth bait version. Let's tackle another common myth. Tucson's homeless problem is so bad, people are moving away. It's fair to talk about homelessness. It's real and it's a challenge. But let's check out the facts and compare Tucson to other cities. What counts as homelessness? The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development defines homelessness as anyone living on the street, in tents or cars, in emergency shelters, or transitional housing programs. So it's not just people you see downtown, there's a bigger picture here. Tucson by the numbers. According to the City of Tucson's 2025 point-in-time count, 2,218 people in Pima County were experiencing homelessness on any given night. That's about 0.4% of our population. Unsheltered homelessness is actually down by 23% since 2022. Youth homelessness dropped 32% over the same period of time, according to the City of Tucson Housing Department 2025 PIT report. That's not to say everything is perfect, but it's also not spiraling out of control. So let's compare that to Phoenix. Maricopa County, where Phoenix is, counted 9,734 people experiencing homelessness on the same 2025 report. That's more than 4 times Tucson numbers with a higher per capita rate. So Tucson, Arizona is relatively better off. So where are the hotspots? Like any city, some areas see more of this issue. Santa Rita Park, 100-acre Wood Bike Park, areas near downtown and along major washes. If you live in Oro Valley, Rita Ranch, Vail, or the Catalina Foothills, you're not likely to encounter it much day to day. It's not spread across every single neighborhood. How Tucson compares nationally. Nationwide, HUD estimates over 770,000 Americans are homeless on any given night. That's about 23 people per 10,000 residents. Arizona's rate is lower than states like California, Oregon, and New York, and Tucson is lower than Phoenix. So, is this forcing people out of Tucson? There's no data showing people are leaving Tucson because of homelessness. Tucson's overall population is growing, not shrinking. But homelessness has driven people away in some places. For example, San Francisco has seen families and businesses relocating, citing open-air drug markets and large encampments affecting safety and commerce. Surveys by the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce show homelessness is a top 2 reason some residents moved out or consider leaving. That's on a way different scale than Tucson. Tucson has limited hotspots, it's not citywide, there's no evidence it's actually driving people to move away. The city is still growing, homelessness is real, but in Tucson it's manageable, improving in some areas, and far from crisis level that forces people to leave cities like San Francisco. Let's keep moving. Let's talk about another big concern people have when considering moving here or moving away from Tucson, Arizona. All the heat and the mountain lions and the rattlesnakes, how can anyone even live here? Well, it's fair to wonder, but let's break it down and look at the real risks and the real rewards. Tucson gets hot. On average, June high is about 100 degrees, and we have roughly 150 days each year that are above 90 degrees. Sounds intense, right? Plenty of other places around the country have brutal summers with humidity on top of it. Our heat comes with low humidity, legendary sunsets, and mild winters. The hot season runs about 4 months, late May through mid-September. The rest of the year is pretty spectacular. Wildlife and desert dangers. Rare, not routine. Yes, there are mountain lions out here, but across the entire US and Canada, there are only about 6 attacks on people each year. Fatalities are even rarer. Most of the time, they want nothing to do with you. Rattlesnakes? Arizona leads the country in bites, with just over 100 reported in a typical year. Most happen to people walking around their own yards in summer evenings. The key is awareness. Watch where you step, and you'll almost certainly be fine. Scorpions and cacti, same deal. Respect the desert and the desert will respect you. Serious injuries are uncommon. Those cholla and saguaro mostly hurt pride, not lives. Living here means being intentional. Beat the heat with a plan. Use the mornings for hikes, the afternoons for air-conditioned gyms. Take a summer vacation, adjust your schedule. Blue skies almost every single day, mild winters, outdoor life for 8 months of the year, and a community that knows how to thrive in the desert. The big picture? Yes, there are risks here, but they're manageable. Heat can be planned around, wildlife encounters are rare and preventable, and when you stack up the pros, sunshine, affordability, natural beauty, and the ability to be outside when half the country is shoveling snow, those pros far outweigh the cons. Tucson isn't for everyone, but for a lot of people, once you've adapted to the desert rhythm, you wouldn't trade it for anything else. Okay, number 5. Tucson's full of crime, trash, potholes, bad drivers, weird politics, and no jobs. Whoa, sounds like the plot of a bad reality show, right? But let's unpack this with some truth and a little bit of humor. Crime. Context matters. Yes, Tucson's crime rate is higher than some places. You could get your catalytic converter stolen, but honestly, that happens in LA, Dallas, Chicago, and your cousin's driveway in Kansas too. Plenty of Tucson neighborhoods are calm, family-friendly, and safer than you'd expect. And just like everywhere else, crime clusters in certain areas. The key is knowing where to plant your roots, and that's where having a great local guide makes all the difference. Trash? We've all seen the occasional abandoned couch on the side of the road. Think of it as free furniture if you're brave enough. Potholes? Sure. But thanks to a big voter-approved street improvement program, more and more neighborhoods are getting freshly paved roads and new ramps. Tucson's version of glow-ups. Less off-roading in your sedan, more smooth Sunday drives. We're not a corporate boomtown, but we're working on it. No, Tucson isn't some corporate's powerhouse city, skyscrapers full of Fortune 500 headquarters, but we've got solid anchors. The University of Arizona, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Raytheon, optics and aerospace companies, tourism and healthcare. You won't see suits and briefcases on every corner, but you'll see people who can actually enjoy their lunch break in the sunshine. Our drivers and government. Imperfect, but improving. Pro tip, the left lane is for passing, not texting. Local government makes some head-scratching decisions, sure, but there's also a lot of investment into roads, neighborhoods, and public spaces. Reality check, no place is perfect. Affordable cities everywhere deal with crime, trash, bad drivers, and politics that make you go, huh, what? Tucson is no different, but the kicker, the pros outweigh the cons. Sunshine, affordability, mountain views, and a lifestyle that lets you breathe. That's what makes this place special. And you have plenty of safe, clean neighborhoods to choose from. If you've made it this far, you know Tucson's not perfect, but you also know it's not nearly as bad as the internet makes it out to be. Drop a comment below and tell me what's one myth you've heard about Tucson. I read all the comments and I like to help others find the truth about living here. And if you're thinking about moving to Tucson or you already live here and you're wanting to make a change, text the word house to the number in the description. Let's get the conversation started and talk about your goals and how we can turn them into a reality. Because at the end of the day, Tucson's not so bad because we make your real estate dreams easy.